All right, so I just got this track sent to me. The producer wanted a brush track on it, and I was super excited to do it. And I was really liking the sounds that came of it, but some of his notes on the tones and some of the references that he sent, he just wanted it to be a little grittier and a little drier. And so I was just figuring out, like, okay, what can I do to make that happen? And then just remembered that I guess it's not a trick, or I don't know if it's a trick or a technique. It doesn't matter what it is. But I ended up putting a ribbon mic, one of my Coles 4038s, coming in over the kick drum and then kind of pointed at the side of the snare drum, just to kind of fatten it up and be able to like manipulate that sound a little bit, just to add some like dirt, some saturation. So I just want to play this loop for you. I chopped it up just into 4-bar loops because it's not my song to share, and it'll get the point across anyway. So let me just play for you this instrumental loop. So you kind of get the gist. Now let me play for you what I recorded. So you kind of get the gist. Now let me play for you what I just recorded, which is just through my kind of normal setup. And so that way you can kind of hear what that sounded like on its own. So I think that sounds really good. Let's hear it in context. So to me, it just sounds, it's just clean. It sounds fine, but I just think it's clean. I know that the track is going to get just a little more saturated, whatever. So the first thing that I wanted to do was take the snare drum. So it's a little dynamic right now. I'm really just hearing a lot of the 2s and 4s. I'm hearing a little bit of that little swirl, swoosh thing, and then some of the 8th notes in there. So I want to just put like a leveler on this bus, just to kind of squash it and make everything speak a little bit more. So I'm going to do a DBX 160. So what I'm looking for here is just for when the 2s and 4s come in, when I hit the backbeat, that it sounds in terms of balance the same as those kind of inner ghost note and swoosh moments. So that's my first step. So let me just do a comparison. So here it is with and without. So you get the idea. So now I wanted to add in the ribbon mic just to get this kind of like mono kit sound that I can just manipulate, saturate, put some distortion on, etc. So let's hear what that sounds like on its own. It sounds really good. I really like the way that the kick sounds coming through that. It's just really pleasing to me. So I think I want to do something similar. Well, I did want to do something similar to the snare where I wanted the kick to just come down and then for the snare to speak a little bit better. But I put this DBX 160 on it, similar to the snare, and it just turns the kick into something that I did not like. So when I turn it on, it just kind of, it squashes it too much. I understand that was the, that was the point, but it squashes it too much to the point where it starts to sound like pretty flat and like punchy, and I just didn't like that. So I'm gonna just take this off and I'm gonna go ahead and just go straight for an EQ. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of the low end out first. And I want to get some more of the snare brightness in there, so I'm just going to get a shelf and bump it up a little bit. So I think overall that sounds like a better representation of the kit to me through that single mic. I'm going to try this DBX again. I still have a feeling that I'm not going to like it, but just for comparison's sake. It's still doing that thing to the kick, and I'm not a fan. I could lower this threshold, let's see. If I bring the mix down a little bit, it's tolerable, but I'm just gonna forego this for now. Let's go ahead and have a listen to the entire kit with this input now unmuted. All right, and now the same thing without the music. Here it is unmuted. Cool, so I think it's adding something really cool, but I still just want to make it a little grittier. So I'm gonna put on this distortion plugin called Black Box Aniline Design HG-2MS. I don't know what it's emulating. It doesn't matter. I think it sounds cool. So yeah, let's just mess around with this and see what we can find. in context with the rest of the kit. Yeah, I just think that that is just such a better sound. Like, it's just much more pleasing to the ear. I think it's just allowing the snare drum to speak a little bit better. It's definitely dirtier, definitely like grittier, but that's all fine. That's kind of just the sound that I was chasing. I just think the kit on its own without this, it was just too clean. It was a little too like just like modern, not stale, because I thought it was fine, but it just wasn't what the song is calling for. Obviously, it's still hard to hear because like the song isn't fully produced yet. It's literally just like a bass, guitar, and the vocal track. So like I was still understanding where they wanted to go with it. But I'm just kind of now laying like a new foundation for then the rest of the tracks to be built off of. Even without these plugins on here, I think that this kind of mono ribbon mic that's like just over the kit, whether it's like right on the kick pointed towards the snare where it is now, or even if it was just like kind of like an overhead or just like a room that was a little bit further back. For this instance, I think that that was the right move. So let's hear this all in context with the track. Yeah, it just adds a lot of depth and that saturation that I was looking for. So I'm very happy with that. The last thing I wanted to share is in a moment like this, where I have just kind of this straight, just eighth notes on the snare, the little swishy thing, just something to kind of like emphasize those a little bit more, and hopefully not without doubling it in the sense where it's just kind of pointless, where you've got this eighth note thing chugging along and then kind of in the same bandwidth I'm about to add a shaker. But what I want to show is how I can add this in and there have enough contrast where they actually complement each other without feeling like they're stepping on each other's toes. So here's this shaker, and I'm going to add it in with the kit, no music, just to hear what it sounds like on its own. As it is now, I think that it's just too much. It's got too much high end, too much just presence there, and it's just stepping on the toes of the brush part. So just a simple low pass on the shaker. And what I feel that it does is it just kind of, again, starts to emphasize the little just those eighth notes happening in the track. And again, without stepping on the intricacies and the depth of this brush part. So here's what that sounds like with the low pass. So it just kind of acts as a little helper to that eighth note part. I'm going to play the part and then unmute the shaker. Take it or leave it. I think that it's a cool part. It definitely just kind of emphasizes those eighth notes a little bit, adds a little bit more like girth underneath it. So let's hear it all in context. So super subtle, but I think it's a nice trick to be able to add that same part, but without it being in the way. So all that to say, hope you learned something. Sorry, not as quick as I thought that this was going to be, but I just wanted to share this because I thought it was a cool thing to be able to chase these sounds on a part that's as simple as this, and I think it really just kind of shows how in-depth a simple part can be, because in reality this is very just cha 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 gong chung ka chung ka gong ka, and that is just ultra simple. Anybody can play it. But I think the cool part is just finding these different ways to emphasize and enhance that sound, because these are all subtle things that the mind or the brain is going to recognize, maybe not consciously, but maybe subconsciously, and it's just something that, you know, can add a little bit of warmth or add just that extra something that you can't put your finger on that will really increase your value to a song. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.